Welcome. We actually have Mark, correct me if I'm wrong here, Delzell?
D.
Oh,
Delzell.
Sorry, it looked like a B there.
He's having to contend with David's handwriting, and this is the second time.
He is actually the lead auctioneer here at Mecum Auctions. And tell us a little bit about what it is that you do and how you got involved with Mecum.
The involved part is a funny story. It's probably the best phone call I ever made in my entire life. I've been with Mecum since day one, since the first auction, and it's going to be our 29th year.
Wow.
Just one lucky phone call. Dana was having his first auction, and I called and said, hey, looking for some help. And I'm a Midwest boy, and the first auction was in Illinois.
Oh, wow.
And I've been in the car business there at the local auto auctions. So got the gig and worked my way up. And when the company grew up to the size it is, a few years ago, probably 20 years ago, Dana couldn't. He hired the crew and directed the crew, and just got too busy for it. So gave me the job as lead auctioneer. So
that's what you're supposed to grow to. You're eventually supposed to grow out of having your fingers in the pie. I do that myself eventually, where it's like, I don't need to handle that anymore. Yeah. So it's nice to be a part of things like that. Now, how long have you been an auctioneer? Because it's an amazing industry. I do personally a lot of auctions. I'm actually a live AV technician. I'm one of the guys that's in the back normally throwing stuff up to screens. But auctioning is such an amazing side channel of American society. How did you get into being an auctioneer to begin with?
My family was in the car business, so the Mecum part of it fit with the old cars. They had Chrysler, Plymouth, Dodge at the time, when the Plymouth was still around, dealerships. And my grandfather was a Ford dealer. So I had the product knowledge. And then we obviously bought and sold cars at the local auto auctions. So from the time I was 5 years old, I was going with my dad to the auto auctions. My interest was being a ring man. I wanted to, they're the ones yelling and screaming and making all the noise. Well, then, after a while, you figured out the guy making the money is that guy up there. So
The golden judge just hit the block up there, guys.
So as far as just technically speaking, the speed at which you are speaking, the voice, the whatever, what goes into training for that? What are your techniques that you use when you are up there as an auctioneer?
Obviously you want to be very clear so they can understand the number, but you want to keep it at a fast pace, keep them off their feet. You have to control the pace of the auction. If you let the crowd control the pace, you'll be here till midnight, and they'll take all the time in the world they want. So you got to push them along and keep it moving, and obviously got to be clear and concise, and so they can understand what you're saying.
So in between the numbers that you're punching back and forth, what are you saying in between there?
Filler words, like put them at, bid them at, and let's bid, let's go, just whatever. But mine's usually like $5 bid down, $5 bid, $5 bid, $5 bid, $5 bid, bid, $5 $5 bid, $1.
Yeah, just to try and keep them moving.
Right. It's just to keep your tongue moving. So when there is a change in the dollar amount, you're not starting from scratch. It just kind of gives you, you're already talking, so it's just comes right out.
Wow. Yeah.
That's a very interesting art.
Incredible.
Looks like that judge went pretty quick because I heard them say sold.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And that's one that I guarantee you won't sit on the block for long.
It went fast.
Those things are gorgeous. Now,
that line seems to be moving fairly quickly.
What is probably and I know it's hard, even as an engineer who works with normal people, same companies all the time, it's hard for me to choose a favorite show. What's probably your favorite Mecum auction to be a part of during the year?
Each one's got a little something special. Monterey is probably a good one because we're the daytime auction and they have the evening auctions. So we target to be done by 5 o'clock each day, and then we get to go out and enjoy the town.
Nice.
A lot of times we're working like an indie. We'll be working till 9 o'clock or 9:30, and you're beat. You got to get up the next morning, and you have no time. 5 days in a row. So I like them all. I mean, Houston. I've been coming to Houston for over 30 years doing auctions here.
Yeah.
Back with the old Autorama. You remember that?
Absolutely.
World of Wheels.
How do you like H-Town?
I love it. It kind of went through a little transition where it was a lot going on, and then it kind of took a little dip. But the last few years, it's an amazing town, and a lot to do here.
It's funny that you mentioned the Autorama because it used to be here in this building.
Well, the old building.
The old building, before the expansion. And like that was literally my first car show, was the Houston Autorama. And I remember coming and my father purchasing a vehicle at auction for my brother's first car. He bought a 64 Falcon. Which was oddly enough my dad's. Yeah, but it was sentimental. It was my dad's first car, and it was one of those like it was his first son, so he wanted his son to have that car. And like to this day, it is a vivid, visceral memory in my head. So
it was a great
you're
show.
Right,
it
like
was a great Thanksgiving weekend every year.
Yeah, and it was always a good show, always. And Houston has always been a big auto auction town. There are just
Houstonians are addicted to their cars, man.
Oh well, yeah.
Really. There's
when you live.
That's why it took so long to get a mass transit system in.
Yeah.
When the Houstonians love cars, man.
Well, hey, when you live in a city that's an hour north to south, east to west with no traffic, like you gotta love a car.
Speaking of loving cars,
happy sounds.
So, as far as like when you were a kid, we often ask our guests this: what were the cars or the car like that really got you into cars? Like what are some of your favorite cars, and what is kind of the first car that you were like, oh wow.
Well, like I mentioned, we had Mopar dealerships, Chrysler, Dodges, and so when I grew up, every time we'd trade for a Barracuda, I'd go, that's mine. Or, Challenger, I had a Roadrunner.
Nice.
I had a 64 Polara Golden Anniversary convertible, Dart GT convertible, Grand Wagoneer. When I was a kid, I was, father had dealerships, so we had a lot of storage, and I had quite a collection of cars back then.
Wow.
And I don't know, the Challengers, if I had to buy a car today, I like the small blocks because they're more drivable than the big blocks. But I like a 4-speed, like a 340 4-speed Challenger convertible would be the car I would like right now.
Yeah, what do you think of the new Challengers?
I sell a lot of them. I do auto auctions throughout the week, so I do a lot of Challengers. I do work for Fiat Chrysler.
Sure.
And they, we have Hellcats and the SRTs. And
Hellcats are amazing.
I got to say, they've done a hell of a job of really keeping the 70s vibe in the car.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas other companies have tried to bring in and bring back some of the nostalgic nuances on their newer cars, and they just haven't been able to deliver.
Yeah, the colors are good. I like the colors.
Yeah, their paints has really come a long way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, on that note, everybody, that actually wraps it for this hour of the Dudes and Beer podcast. We've got about a minute before we go out. We'd like to thank Mark Delzell, lead auctioneer from Mecum Auto Auctions, who took the time to come on over, join the Dudes and Beer podcast, tell us everything that auctioneering is all about. Tell us a little bit about his passion and why he does what he does. Thank you so much for coming and being on.
Thank you so much, Mark.
Greatly appreciate you.
Right. Have a great time at the show.
Thank you so much.
We're going to hit up commercial break. We will be back in 15 minutes, everybody.
You bet. Stick around.
You have been listening to the Dudes and Beer podcast. Visit us online at www.dudesandbeer.com. Find our audio streams on soundcloud.com and spreaker.com/Dudes and Beer. Follow us on Facebook /Dudes and Beer. Thanks for listening, everybody. And until next time, drink responsibly.